Hi everybody, and thanks for watching this week's video. This is a video on the off-grid lifestyle, and these are lessons that I learned when I was traveling on the road. This is why I'm filming from my RV. And I sure did miss being here in my RV. And these are lessons that I have learned that have taught me how to live in the homestead. And isn't it wonderful how God brought me through this journey of moving into a RV, a big RV, and then realizing that I didn't need all this stuff and I didn't have to use all the bells and whistles that come with RVs in order for me to live a sustainable life here on a homestead. So I'm really grateful that I have those lessons that I've learned in the past from traveling, that now I can also think about the way that I'm running my household, the expenses and all of those things that happen, especially now when we're living in a time that everything is getting so expensive, ridiculously expensive. And I am able to be in control of my life, especially here on Homestead. I really do believe that this is the way that God intended for all humans to live, is to live at peace on a piece of land, growing their own, having creative aspects of their life where they can contribute to their community, doing different jobs and things like that. Look at Missy. Missy is super excited to be in here. And the Amish, when you think about it, the Amish are the ones that got it right, because they are living a life that where they're not controlled by the rulers of this world, of the government. They're living a life that is pretty much off-grid for most of them. They live an off-grid life. So we're going to talk about off-grid living today in this video. Off-grid living isn't just a physical lifestyle. Sorry, I have some notes here that I just want to make sure I don't lose my train of thought, especially when I have a cat that's running around trying to distract me. Let's go back to the physical lifestyle of off-grid living. It's not just a physical way of living. Living off the grid doesn't mean that it's a lifestyle that's just for the physical. For me, I've been taking this journey spiritually, where God is showing me it's not just physical, it's also mentally. When you disconnect from the rest of the world and say, I don't want to do things their way, I want to think about the way that I'm doing things. And a lot of things it has to do with the main concept of living self-sustainable, which is that you want to take control of becoming your own producer of whatever it is that you have, or that you're given, or that you produce on your property. You want to be able to have control over those things. A lot of the popular things in a homesteading lifestyle for off-grid is people want to make homemade food. They want to raise their own animals for the meat. They want to grow their own gardens, so they have foods that are healthier. They don't come from miles away. They're more nutritious because you know what you're putting into the soil and you can pull it out and eat it, and it's got all the nutritional value right from the earth. Also, you also have the prospect of making your own medicinal products as well, using medicinal herbs and things like that. So that's a form of self-sustainability that a lot of people are looking into now, because they realize that they have been subjected to the ways of the world, and they've lost all of these things, all of these things that were supposed to be passed down to the generations, but they were not. And they're kind of lost now. Like, what do we do for food shortages? What do we do? Like, how do we get ourselves into this homeowners association that controls us, wants a monthly fee every month, but they don't let me have a chicken in my yard. They don't let me have, a garden in my backyard, even though I'm all fenced in and they can't see my property other than from a second floor, maybe neighbor. They still won't let me have a garden. So these are the kind of things that we're learning now, that, wow, we set ourselves up to really be slaves in our society. And I think a lot of people are moving away from that, which is a really great thing. I think when you look at it, the good thing about all of this that's happening is people are coming back to a true way of life with their families. Many people want to homeschool their children as well. That's why they want this simpler type of lifestyle, because they want to be away from those school systems that are feeding their kids propaganda and agendas that we have no interest in at all. It's also a fact that there's not just one job that you're going to be doing on the homestead. So people want to learn how to be able to work these mobile jobs. You can do it from pretty much anywhere in the country. And that's a good thing about technology now, that you can live in the country most of the time and you can do Zoom calls from the country. You can do several different things living in the country. You have more choices to do the kind of work that you do as well, living out in rural communities. So, but there's still a lot of skills that we have to learn if we're going to be, growing our own, having our animals. So you have your aspect of your job, but there's also all of these other skills, and it's very time consuming to learn all of these skills that we were never taught when we were younger. So for me, this has been a journey, because when my family was in Cuba, we were supposed to have grown up on a farm. My grandfather had a butcher store. He grew his own cattle, and all of that stuff was stolen from us because of communism. The same thing that's happening now in this country. So that's why I'm a proponent of really learning the basics, because I was taken away from my heritage. A lot of the things that I'm learning now to be self-sustainable, I would have learned that from my grandfather, from my father. Over the generations, I would have learned all that, and that was all stolen from me in my childhood. So now I'm making it a point to go back to my roots and really learn those things and pass them on. And that's why I do videos like this, because I also want to be able to pass them on to you, so that you can also do your own research and find what's best for you. I don't live an off-grid life. Off-grid life means that I don't connect it to electricity. In my 3 acres, I am connected to electricity. And that's the way that I choose it to be. And the reason for that is because I know how expensive it is to run a generator. And I learned that on the road. So when I was traveling in Colorado with my big trailer, we were running a generator because we were traveling in the summertime. And it gets to be super expensive. And at that time, the gasoline wasn't expensive as it is now. So I realized that this off-grid living really is not cheap, and especially when you have to constantly be maintaining your generators, because there's a service that has to be done every certain amount of miles on your generator. The reason that I live semi-off-grid is that if I was running off-grid and had to be running my refrigerator all day on a generator, it would cost me way more to do that. I couldn't run my AC off my generator. So being on grid is not such a bad thing. Now, there are taxes and things that they charge you because you are connected to the grid, but I consider those so small compared to what it costs me to maintain a generator and the maintenance and the hauling gas jugs and all of that, and having to go out and fill those every 8 hours and stuff like that. It's a lot of work that I just, so semi-off-grid to me means that I'm conscious of what I'm doing, what I'm turning on, and how I'm doing things. I don't live in this unconscious state like the rest of the world is, like I was living for so long. Like I would just, buy a refrigerator. Oh, I'm going to replace, that huge thing over there. No, what for? I learned to can, I learned to ferment, and I don't need to have a giant refrigerator hogging up all of this power all the time. If you were living off grid, most people would have some type of a generator, because even if they had solar panels, on cloudy days, you're not going to get a lot of power like that. So you have to have a backup. And number two, if you are running on like a wood stove, you also have to have a backup in case you don't have enough wood, or it can't get to you and you run out. Or, I see a lot of people who are moving into these 1 acre lots in Alaska. And I know because recently I've been looking at property in Alaska and see what it costs, and it's like, I don't know, $199,000 for a 1 acre lot. So that's not really sustainable to me, is living on a 1 acre lot like that, because you're not going to have enough wood to sustain yourself in heating, and you're going to have to run off solar panels and a generator to have a backup system, because you're not going to have enough wood for your property for the next couple of years. Like, you might move in there and clear the land. For a while you might have wood, but how much wood are you going to have for the next 10 years? So that's not really very much of sustainable at all. So for me, I live here, but I live a lifestyle because I choose to run my electricity in a way that is conservative. So I'm not just putting things on. I turn lights off in my house. And one of the reasons that I am on the grid is because it makes it easy for my refrigerator. And I'm also in a place where it gets to 90 degrees. So I have to have my refrigerator plugged in. But this is one of the reasons that I recently took to canning, learning how to can, because I realized that my refrigerator is super, I mean, this thing is huge for one person. And I was looking at the prices of refrigerators and I thought, oh my gosh, these things are like $2,000-$3,000 for a refrigerator now. And I thought to myself, that is not me. If my refrigerator broke down, I am not getting a big refrigerator like this. And that's why I bought a canner, so I can learn to can, especially because I live in a state where our power goes out. We live in a hurricane zone. There's tropical storms here, and I don't want to have to worry about my refrigerator going out. So that's where my semi-off grid is kind of leading me to, is to be less dependent on my refrigerator and to learn how to can and process and preserve foods, so that when hurricanes and tropical storms come, I don't have to worry so much about the refrigerator. And I do have a generator as a backup so that I can run those. And I do have a solar system in this RV. This whole RV, I have a 1500 watt inverter, so I could cook in here. I could put this out in the sun and I cook. But this is my backup, and this is what I'm going to be using next summer as I build an outdoor kitchen here. I've already purchased a rocket stove, and I have a solar oven and different things that are going to help me be able to cook and manage my bill during the months where I have to run my air conditioner. I will tell you this though, we're living here in Florida. I have learned, and I will show you here my bill, how's it gone down this year, even though the prices have gone up higher. And that's because, I'll give you some tips. Number one, I unplugged everything in my house that I don't use on a daily basis. I have a 3-bedroom house and I have 2 separate bedrooms on the other side. I'm not using those rooms, so things are unplugged. The only thing that's plugged in there is a light, so that I can walk in there, turn on a light if I have to go in there, and that's it, to get something or find something or whatever. And that's basically it. So those are off. I also keep my thermostat on high enough, usually around 80 degrees, because most of the time in the summertime I'm outdoors anyway. And during the heat of the day, I will come inside, I will take a shower, so that cools me off. And I will sit in the house during the hottest part of the day and then go out and work during the cooler part of the day. So my AC is up at 80 degrees. And at night when I go to sleep, I put a fan. I have a ceiling fan, and I have another fan in my room. And my room is, sometimes I have to cover myself, and my AC stays at 80 degrees. So I'm not up and down with the AC. I'm learning to acclimate myself to the area that I live in. That's really important. You need to learn to acclimate. It's not going to be easy in the beginning, but you can do it if you really put your head into it. You will learn to do it, and the rewards for that, for having your bill reduced significantly. But there are things that you could do, and of course you're going to wear clothing in the house that's going to keep you cool. So I'm not going to wear a flannel shirt and a jacket. Obviously in the summertime I'm going to wear straps and shorts and things that are going to keep me cool when I'm inside the house. We are going to talk about this off-grid living for about, I think, for the next 2 or 3 weeks. And I'm going to break it all down. So we're going to talk about compost. We're going to talk about so many things that have to do with homesteading that I've learned. And I'm just going to share my experiences with you on some of the things, because I watched a lot of videos on off-grid and stuff like that. And it almost looks like everybody's posting the same stuff, or they're kind of like in the same kind of area. And a lot of the things that I've tried that they've shown on YouTube has not worked for me at all. And I've had to figure my way through the composting, through the toilet situation, all of those things myself, just like I did in the RV. Sorry, I have some chickens out there that are very curious as to what I'm doing. So anyway, there is a law of nature though that goes with all of these skills that we are learning, and that means that the law of nature we're a part of, and that is that whatever we don't use goes back into the soil. And for me, I'm really big on trying to not waste a lot, not buy a lot. I make my own food. I'll tell you that probably 95% of the food that I buy is stuff that I make. Like I make my own bread, I make my own tea drinks, things like that. Now I don't produce my own milk because I don't have a cow. I do have my own eggs now because I have chickens that are giving me eggs. So there are still some things that I buy in the store, and that's another process that I'm going to be going through in the new year, as I've already researched for local farms that sell milk. They sell beef. Sometimes they'll sell you like a quarter cow, and then you'll have that for the year. So those are things that I am being led to do, because those are not things that I particularly am interested in doing, is having a cow here that I have to maintain. I don't want to have to go through that. I don't want to have turkeys here. I don't, I have a certain lifestyle that I want to maintain, and I want to be able to travel. So that's a big responsibility for me to bring in all these other animals. That's not something that I'm interested in, especially running all of this by myself, because I understand the work that just the land alone and the garden and the chickens and my animals, and servicing the RV and servicing the mowers, all of these things take up my time. So I know what I can do with my life, but that doesn't mean that I can't help other farmers in the area who have, poultry that is grass fed and things like that. So those are also considerations that I am also looking into as I'm moving on this journey, slowly getting away from the commercialism. As a matter of fact, today my Sam's Club membership expires, and I stocked up big time the last week, so I won't have to use anything of theirs for quite a while. So I'm pretty good with everything that I'm doing at the moment, as I'm being led to get out of this commercial type of lifestyle and try to be more self-reliant, which for me means God reliant. He's really the one that gives me, the good weather, the good soil, all of that stuff that's going to get me to have abundance in the future with my plants. I really believe that living this way with our families is the righteous type of life that God wants us to live, because we live minding our business on our property. We're always busy because there's always so many things to do on a property. And if we have children, they're also participating in that, and we're not sitting around gossiping on the phone with people and things like that. And we are also not reliant on the government and the rulers of this world to feed us. And we're teaching our children those skills, those job skills that they're going to need in the future, so that they can be self-reliant as well. So like I said, the Amish have really done a great job with all of this, as a lot of these things don't even affect them. So a lot of people now, they're really deciding to live this lifestyle because they want to feel like they're a part of nature, and they don't want to be a part of the cultural trends that are happening at the moment. And they're mostly all focused on technology, and people are really coming back to nature, where they want to have that balance where, okay, we can sit in front of a computer for a couple of hours, but I want to go outside and be with my chickens for a while. Or I want to go outside and read a book outside and disconnect from that technology. There's that perfect balance here, and a lot of people are choosing that. And what I said before was there's a lot of people now who can work from these rural places, because a lot of their jobs are mobile. As we are successful in these type of lifestyles, being able to balance the lifestyle, and we talk to other people about it, they also get excited as well, because they know in their heart that this is the right way to live, being connected to nature and the way that God wanted us all to live with our families and raise our children the right way. We have to learn to live according to God's command, and always protect ourselves from persecution that is going to come from for us Christians, especially with the mark of the beast system that they're planning to implement with the digital currencies and the credit score systems that they want to start making, so that, they can cut you off. And we have to be careful with those things. So this is a time where you have to make that choice to start living an off-grid or semi-off-grid life. For me, there really isn't an off-grid life, because I'll be honest with you, most people out there, they have some type of way to connect with power. They either have a generator or they have some kind of a solar system. So even though technically you're not connected to the grid, in some way you have your own personal grid system at home. So for me, I look at it like, I can choose whenever I want. If I don't want to be on the grid, if I don't want to pay that bill every month, if I got to the point that I had to lose my house because I didn't have $100 a month because I'm paying electricity, I would cut off the power. I would not lose my home over electricity. So that's where the mindset is that I want you to get to, that you can live, not have to worry about power. So when I was traveling on the road, I have a solar system that I cook with, and I have had to manage how I cook and the time of day. I have to manage my refrigerator. I had to downsize my refrigerator because this big refrigerator runs on propane and electric, but I don't run it on electric because I don't hook up to RV parks. The way that I travel is I like to travel to one place and then I go to the next place. I don't go usually to an RV park unless I'm tired or have to do laundry, and that might be maybe once every 2 weeks or so, like that. So my way of traveling is usually moving all across the country until I to the places that I need to go. I don't want to have to go 1 hour to go see something and then come back to an RV park and waste all that gasoline. So that's how I've learned to do most of the things that I do off grid. So for me, doing things like that. I don't watch television on my television. I have a TV in here. I don't do that. I watch it on my phone. And I have a hotspot and things like that is what I do. And all of these things I can also do here. My Wi-Fi actually here on this property is actually extremely economical, to the point that it's not even worth it for me not to have it. It's just a good convenience. I don't pay for television service or anything like that. I did a video a while back on my expenses, but I'll just tell you my expenses. I don't pay for garbage, and I don't pay for television service. I don't pay for water. I have electric, and I'll show you here how cheap my electric bill has been compared to the year before, because I am managing and thinking about the way that I'm running this property and what's important to me, and it makes me feel good when I'm living comfortably at a good budget price. You understand? So I'm not going over budget. For those of you that don't travel in RV parks have gotten more expensive because as taxes go up, property values go up, taxes go up, and their insurance go up. My insurance has gone up here in the property. So they charge more. They're usually about $35 and up. And for me, I'm not going to pay $35 just to park for the night, get some electricity, and then leave the next day. To me, that's just not practical. That's why I have a smaller RV now. I don't have the big giant ones that I used to have, because I like to keep moving all the time. But I can still use my bathroom. I can use my shower, and I don't use my water heater is broken, so I have never really used the water heater here. Because when they had the solar put in, there were some things that weren't done right for the water heater, so I don't use the water heater here. And I use a bucket system to take a shower in my shower. I do have a generator, onboard generator, so I can run that to power up my batteries when they're low, just like an off-grid house does on cloudy days, that they have to power up with some type of generator to get their batteries up. Because when you have solar, you have to maintain your batteries at a certain level. If you have 4 or 5 days of dark clouds, you have to get that up. So you're going to need a generator, because you don't want your batteries to get damaged if they get too low. This is why I'm saying you have to have a backup system. Every time you have solar, you still have to have some type of a backup system to get your power back up again. It means that I can control all of this because I understand how everything works, and that's how I learned all of this on the road. I'm able to manage, like right here is my solar monitor, and I'm able to manage and know all these things, so I'm able to do all of that. Now, I don't have a solar system in my house, and the reason for that is because I don't want to have to go through the expense of that. One of the things that I've done recently is I turn off my water heater at the breaker. During the summer, during the winter, I plan my showers. I know what I'm going to do for the day. I'm planning my days, so I know what I'm going to need a shower. And if I need a shower, in 30 minutes, I have hot water. If I turn on, I have a regular water heater that holds tons of water, which is great for emergency situations. There's the kind that on-demand water heaters, and I had that in my other house, and that's fine. But for me, I like the tank one, because with the tank one, I will always have a source of water there in case the power goes out. I choose to live this way. I choose to be compassionate with my environment and the earth, and I choose to live differently than the rest of the world. I choose to be mindful in the use of the things that I have around me. There are 7 steps to learning to be self-reliant. One of them is going to be powering your homestead or your RV, like I've learned to power. So when you're on the RV, you can use a solar system if you're not in an RV park, or if you're at an RV park, you would hook up. If I was buying a piece of land and didn't have a home on it, one of the first things I would do if I could have is electric brought in so that I can hook up and then I can run just like a house here. So there's really no difference, but the other option is to have a generator or a solar system is the other way. Also, water is another one. How are you going to get your water? You're going to harvest your water. For me, I have a water pump. So I get my water from the water pump, but I do need electricity for that. So another thing that I have done is I have around my property like garbage containers of 32 gallons. I have them all around. I have one by the garden. I have one in the back. I have several around the property, and that's because if the power goes out and I can't get water, I can still have access to water for my garden. And I have jugs of water in my garage for drinking that I have them in glass jars. So I have prepared myself with water during a time where there's an outage and I can't be on the grid or whatever like that. I am prepared for things like that. And if I have to live this lifestyle, being off grid, I can live it because I've already prepared those situations for myself. The other one is the food reliance, and that for me traveling means I don't have a lot of space here to hoard tons of food like I do at home. And I'm not hoarding at home. What I am do is I do believe in prepping. I do believe in preparing. I do believe in making your own, and that doesn't mean like buying cans of tomato soups. I make my own tomato soup and I can them myself, and that's something that I've been doing recently, is canning my own foods. Evaporated milk, butter, all of these things I'm canning. I don't want to rely on store-bought because it costs me way less when I can my own foods. And now that I'm learning to can, these are also things that I'm planning to bring on the road with me. I'm learning to ferment and I've learned to can. I have tons of recipes that I've gotten from library books that I've been writing down. I have a special book that's all for prepping recipes. And these are recipes that when I travel next, there's a lot of things that I'm going to be showing you, and I'm going to be bringing a lot of these recipes with me. Next one is waste. And like I told you, I don't pay for garbage service. My neighbors pay for garbage service and I do not. My garbage is so small. I mean, I'll show you here what one bag of garbage for me is in like 2 weeks. This is my trash for the last over 2 weeks. I have not taken the trash out. I think going on 3 weeks. This is all of my trash. This is it. This is it. And this includes freezer stuff, you know, like when you buy chicken and you have that inner portion, the spongy stuff, that's in there to throw that out. So as you can see, I don't have a lot of trash. Because I don't buy packaged food most of the time, what I do is recycle. We do have a recycling service in my town where I can bring my plastics, cardboard, things like that. Now, they won't take my glass containers anymore, but that's okay because I don't buy anything. I don't really buy anything. And if I do buy something in glass, I keep the glass jars because I reuse them. And one of the things I do is I ferment food in mason jars. But once the food is fermented, I move it to a regular glass jar from the store. So I'm not using my mason jars for keeping it in the refrigerator. My mason jars are mostly for canning foods and things like that. So I do save a lot of those jars. And we'll talk about that when we talk about the food. I'll give you some tips of what I use in order to make my food last a lot longer. Now, I live in a rural area. I'm about 6 to 7 miles to the Walmart, but I don't get out every week. I usually will go out every 2 weeks. And I can sustain myself with food. And now that I'm canning even longer, I can sustain myself here on the property with my garden and with the foods that I have canned. Another aspect of homestead and also living on remote is your security. You also have to be able to be secure on your property as well. Another one is going to be finances, and you have to be able to bring in money so you're not part of the system. And that's something that I'll talk to you about because that's a project that I'm working on for next year so that I'm not reliant on the beast system that they want to incorporate into us, and that way I'm away from something like that and I can protect myself with finances. Another one is transportation. You're also going to realize if you're going to need transportation. Now, the Amish, they don't have cars. They use these carriage and buggies, I think they're called. Horse and buggy is what they use, so they don't have to pay for registration, annual registration. I don't think they do, but things like that. So most places, unless they're towns like that, we don't have that. So those are things you're going to have to consider as well. Is do you want one vehicle? If you're multi people in the family, various people, do you want to have more than one car? Because most likely if you plan it well and you can all work around it and just have one car, which is going to be less expensive to maintain. And then there's also the health aspect on the property for medical as well. And you also have to consider in certain areas. You have to be willing to come into this lifestyle believing that you can be healed for many things through good food, connecting to the earth, using the medicinals, herbs, and things like that. I think a lot of that mindset is a part of living off grid, and learning to forage also. Like, for instance, I get my dandelions come in the spring, and I just wrote up a dandelion jelly recipe, and I'm super excited to be able to now this year start using those dandelions. But in my planner that I have, I write these things down in my future log so that I know that, okay, April is coming and this is when the dandelions come in, or this is when the mushrooms come in, or this is, so I can prepare in advance to be ready for those things and have recipes or canning recipes so that I can process those during the season when they come in. And that's part of living this life also, that has to do with connecting to the earth, the seasons. And I think it's such a beautiful thing. So many people want to go back to that again. I already spoke to you as far as electric. So this video, I'm just going to tell you a little bit of the things that I'm doing with my electric to get my bill down and even lower, hopefully next year. So I already talked about the AC and the heating as well. I have a portable heater in my bedroom, so when I'm in my bedroom, I just put that on. I don't have to run the whole house. Now, in the morning, there might be a time where I have to put it on for maybe, and I did that last year, I put it on for like maybe 30 minutes and then I shut it off. And it just takes that edge of cold off the house. So of course I open all my windows, my blinds are open so the sun comes in. That's the same thing I do in my RV when I'm traveling in places that are cold, is I open all the windows and let the sun shine in. And that helps me. I also have backup systems for heating. So if we had an unusually cold day and I couldn't run my heater in my heating system in the house, I also have a Mr. Buddy heater, which I travel with, and it runs off little cylinders of propane, and that's something that I would use. I also have electric personal heaters that I could run off of solar, so I could be in here on a very sunny day and run a small little heater if I wanted to, just to keep myself warm. So this RV can be a place where I can come to relieve myself when the house is cold. I can come in here, and using solar I can be warm during the day if I needed to. Another thing that I learned when I was traveling is wool blankets are amazing to keep you warm, because one of the girls when I was traveling with, she gave me a gift of a wool blanket, and I always keep it in here. I had brought a down comforter with me, and those are fantastic as well. So these are things that you can pick up sometimes in thrift store because they're stained and people don't want them. But if you buy a duvet cover for the comforter, you will be able to get, and I've seen them really cheap in some thrift stores. Those are options for you as well that you can purchase in thrift stores. Wool blankets, Mexican ones are great. They're one of the best ones, I think, the ones that they make in Mexico, and you can purchase those in Arizona. They're like everywhere in New Mexico and Arizona for really good prices down there. Another thing that I do when I'm traveling and I'm cold, I don't travel with flannel sheets, although I do have them. But if I'm going to be in multiple locations, I don't want to travel with a separate sheet set of flannels. So what I buy is those throws at Walmart. They're like, I think $3. They're flannel, they're soft. If you buy two of them, and if you have a full-size bed or a queen-size bed, if you buy two of them and put them on the bed on top of your sheet, and you lay on top of that and then cover yourself, you're going to be so much warmer, because you don't need a flannel sheet to go all the way around. You just need it underneath you, and that it's going to help you through a good night's sleep and keep you warmer on those cold days. And the great thing is, if during the night you get hot and you don't want to sleep on this flannel, you can just take it off because it doesn't go all around the bed like a sheet does. I unplug everything that I don't use on a daily basis. And if like I want to run my VCR, okay, I'll go plug it in. I don't really need my VCR. I don't watch my VCR. And other things like that I don't use on a regular basis. Televisions, and in my guest room has a television. I don't have that plugged in because nobody's here to watch television. So why am I going to have that plugged in? Now, I did learn from the electric company that if you have a ceiling fan, unless you go to the circuit breaker and turn it off, that will draw some power, ceiling fans and lights and things like that. So if you're not using those rooms, those guest rooms, turn them off at the breaker so that you're not, consuming electricity there. That's another way. I've changed my light bulb to LED saving for the main lights of the house. For the ones that I turn on all the time, I also have Genie light bulbs which go on and off at a certain time of the day, and I also use those for security when I travel. So there's light bulbs in the house that go on and off, but certain time of the day it goes on, certain time of the day it goes off. And if I go to bed early, I can control it from my phone and turn off the light in my patio and other parts of the house. I only keep 2 lights on at night. I only keep my patio light. That's because my cat Missy usually likes to sit in the patio and I like to watch her. And then I also keep a lamp on in my living room, but I don't have bright lights because I like soft lighting at night. And now that I have a lamp, an oil lamp, I'm also using that as well. Because I like the ambience that it gives me, and it's a little brighter than a candle, and I do like the flickering on the flame. Just make sure that you get a good healthy oil for that. That's something that's on my list, because the oil that I have, I purchased from Walmart, but it does have some smells to it, so I'm looking for something that's a little bit better. Another thing that I use is dollar solar lights that I use in the house. Now my dog needs to have her water bowl near her bed, and I keep a light because she's almost blind. She just turned 14. So I keep one of those solar lights. I have 4 lights. I have one in my kitchen, which is my night light in the kitchen. I have one in my bathroom. I use this as a night light. Every night when I go out to the chicken coop and close the chicken coop, I bring in my solar lights. I've been charging all day, and they will last pretty much the whole night. Pretty much the whole night. By the time I go to bed, those lights are on, and they're and it's free electricity that I don't have to be plugging. I mean, I have night lights, I just don't use them because I have free energy from the sun to charge up the ones from the dollar store. The other thing that I purchased was a big rocket stove. Now I bought a small one so I can go camping with or make coffee with in the morning if I was camping. And I will bring you all of those appliances this summertime once I'm working on my outdoor kitchen that I plan on doing here, so that I don't have to cook in the house, that I can cook outside. So I'm also preparing an area on the property where I'm going to be drying wood for cooking with wood. So I purchased a rocket stove so that I can cook with wood. Like I said, I turn off my water heater and I plan for when I'm going to take my showers. The other thing that I do is in the morning when I make my coffee, I use a coffee press. And what I have is a thermos on my counter, and I do this on the road as well. When I boil water in the morning, I boil enough. I know the measurements for my coffee cup, and then I boil extra water, and I know the amount that goes into my thermos. So that boiled water is once for my coffee, the rest of it's going in my thermos. So during the day, I always have hot water. And I want to show you that with 1 full boil of water, okay, this is full to the top almost. I got to fill my thermos for today. And this will fill my teacup at noon. And then I can have some hot chocolate later in the day, so I don't have to boil water again. So that will give me 2 today. This is for my coffee this morning. I've already poured the water in here with the coffee because this is a French press. It's a stainless steel French press. Then I also have tea for dinner today. Now it's only halfway because I only need the hot water to steep it. But once I'm ready to put it in the refrigerator, I will put cold water in here, and it'll taste amazing. This one is my nettle tea, which I buy in bulk, the nettle. And that is for Muffin because Muffin has a heart problem. So I give her nettle with her meal every night. So this will be about 3 days worth. My water heater is off. So if I need to wash a dish with hot water, I have a thermos with boiling hot water ready on demand that I can use. I have hot water for tea. I don't have to go and heat water again because I already have water. If I want to make a hot chocolate, I already have that. So if you boil it once and save it in thermal insulated thermoses, then you will have hot water on demand, and you don't have to go looking for hot water, turning on your water heater and things like that. Try to keep the thermos in the warmest part of the house during the day so it doesn't cool off. So in my garage in the summertime is like 90 degrees. I will take my thermos and put it in the garage, and then whenever I need it, I just go get it there. So just so you know, that's what I do. Just so you know, every time that you flush your toilet, you are demanding water to come in through electricity, because now I have a bladder in my garage. When the bladder goes to a certain level, now it calls the pump to turn on and come into the house, the water. So for me, what I do is I read the book on human manure, so I know how important it is to be able to use those products for my orchard, because I'm building like an orchard here for fruit trees. So I collect my urine, and once a day, if I'm not using it, especially during the rainy season, I'm not using it to fertilize plants or anything like that. I have a septic system, so what I will do is I will throw it into the toilet. I flush the toilet one time a day. And that's what I do here. And I have no smells or anything like that, because I have learned also to I have a pan in the toilet and I have a jar. So once that pan starts getting full, maybe 3 urines, I will pour it in a jar and keep it there. So when I do number 2, I take all the urine that's in that jar and I throw it into the toilet, and that flushes the toilet for me. My toilet water is off, and that flushes it. Now I can take some water from the sink with the same container, clean the sink, throw it into the toilet, and it cleans the toilet. So there is water in the toilet, but it's not coming from the tank. So if you need to flush your toilet, you don't need water. You can use a whole day's worth of urine that you save inside a jug, a big jug, like maybe a laundry jug or something like that. And once you do number 2, you take that jug and pour all of that urine in there. That's going to flush the toilet for you, and that way you don't have to be flushing the toilet. And that's something that you should know for emergencies, because you can still use your toilet in the house even though you don't have water coming in because your pump is off. But my water comes from my faucets, are readily available all the time, that I can use the water for washing dishes, washing my hands. Those are the things that I have in the house. And you can have a jug also where you can wash your hands and you don't have to be turning on your faucet and things like that. So that way you're not constantly having this electricity being used in the house, because you really don't need it. That's easy for me to do because I'm by myself. If you have little kids, some of this stuff is really difficult. But I'll be honest with you, you should teach your kids these lessons anyway, because they should learn how to be able to be without electricity, and the ways that they could live comfortably without it, because I don't feel like I'm really missing out on anything at all. I mean, it's very simple. It's become a habit and a routine for me, and I'm happy within myself that I'm able to have learned to do these things. I don't know if you guys know this, but if you leave a black hose out in your lawn in the sun, turn on the water, and then you turned it off, and let's say there's water still in the hose, if you open that at 3 p.m. into a 5-gallon bucket, you are going to have boiling hot water in there that you can take a shower with. And you can use a solar bag also to take a shower with, and you don't have to use a water heater to take a shower. But that water inside of there is going to be super hot. Now, I did a video showing how I have like this pump that I use on the road to take a shower, and you put it in a 5-gallon bucket and you can wash yourself with something like that. I think I'll link that video down below in case you're interested in a product like that. Or I'll put the product link down below so that you can see how easy it is to put this pump in there and take a shower with something like that. So you can go outside, turn on your water, and let this all the water that's hot go into the bucket, go in the house, and take a shower with the water that's in the bucket, so you don't even have to use a water heater. Of course, we're learning that we have to turn all the lights off and everything off when we leave the room. That's very important. And turning up your thermostat and dressing accordingly to the situation is important. Whenever I'm sitting in the living room and I'm a little bit hot, I will bring a fan. I have a small little portable fan that I put in front of me, and that cools me off just fine because I have the AC system set at 80 degrees in the house. There's no humidity in the house, and it's not hot in the house. But it's not a refrigerator either. A lot of people like their house to be a refrigerator, and I don't think that's healthy for you. So if I am a little bit hot that day, I'll drink something. I'll drink some water, and I'll put a fan in front of me, and I'll sit there and I'll work with the fan on. Another thing that you can do is open your windows and open your door. I have my patio door, and sometimes when it's a little warm in the house and I want to breeze, I want to take advantage of that breeze, I'll open the front door and I'll have this draft that comes in that feels so nice in the house. And that's another way that you can also cool your house down, is by opening the windows during the day. Don't cook in your oven during the summer because you're going to heat up your house, but that's a great thing to do in the wintertime. So plan your meals so that you're cooking with your oven during the wintertime to help heat up the house. If you're in the summertime, try to make like a little area for yourself outdoors where you can cook outside, but you're covered away from the sun and not, under the sun all the time. Maybe you can have a canopy or a lean-to or something like that where you can do some cooking outdoors. If you are using a wood stove in your house, always keep a pot of water on it so you have hot water. You don't have to turn on your water heater, and now you have this hot water you can cook with, just like I do with my thermos. That's something you can also use for a hot shower, and pour that hot water in a 5-gallon bucket and halfway, and then fill the rest of it with regular water, and now you'll have lukewarm water for a shower using the pump that I will show you here, linked down below. If you use low wattage appliances versus using your burner on your stove, one of the things that I use almost daily is my Instant Pot, because it cooks fast, and it's so fast and so effective that I hardly cook anything anymore on top of my stove top. It uses less power also. Check the wattage of the appliances versus when you turn something on your electric stove top. You're going to use a lot more wattage there. So that's another thing that I do, is I buy appliances that are low wattage, and I prefer to use those in using the cooktop that I have. Purchase a solar oven. That's something that I also have, and I'll be showing you this summertime as I test some recipes this year coming up. Learn to ferment and can foods. That way you can buy a smaller refrigerator that's going to use less power, or you can also buy a smaller freezer that uses less power in case the power goes out, or you just want less consumption of your refrigerating system, so you can can foods and you can ferment them in order to keep them long term. Using your television, your big television, running all day long is going to use a lot more power than if you use a tablet or use a phone. So try to use the big TV only maybe during family time, during 8 o'clock or something, or when you watch a special time, you watch a movie, and then if you're going to watch something else, watch it on your tablet. It's going to make it a lot easier. On the pocketbook for charging. Another thing you can do is learn to pack your freezers efficiently. I did a video on that, and I will bring you that video in the future coming up, and how to pack your freezers. They have to be packed well to the top. No empty freezers, no empty, because what's going to happen is you're going to consume more power. That thing's going to go on more and more and more when you're not efficient packing your freezers. And that's really important for your refrigerator to run well as well. I'm going to leave it here for you today. I was going to do the water portion of it, but I think I'm going to combine that with something else in the future. If you like this video and you learned some things, please give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. I will be doing off-grid water and I think composting in my next video, and I'll bring you some of the things that I've learned as well. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. God bless, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Hey, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Thanks for watching.